Good morning, everybody. My name is Mike at Filmboy24. And if you're new to this channel, well, thank you for popping in. I appreciate it. I primarily shoot, process, and scan cine film, but I do a bit of still film as well. That's the focus of this channel. I also have a tiny little series right here on this channel called Found Film. It's where we take a old roll of film, presumably, usually 30 to 80 years old, depending, that was shot as many years ago, but it was never processed. It kind of got lost in the shuffle somehow. And we don't know really who it belongs to. Well, it all belongs to me now, but so then we process it, and as long as it's not wildly inappropriate, I'm going to show it to you right here on this lovely channel. This is Found Film episode number 62. Very quickly, let me clear something up. I get a lot of emails from people, and occasionally I get one where people seem to think that I can process all of your movie film for free. I wish I could. I wish I had the time and the resources to do that for you. Unfortunately, I cannot, or will not, or just don't. What I mean by me processing film for free, if you have an old roll of found film is film, either Super 8 cartridges or 16 millimeter magazines, the little 50-foot magazines that you found in an old camera bag at a thrift store or at a flea market or a garage sale or online, or you bought a camera and there was a roll of film inside it, and we don't know who it belongs to because we like to have this discussion, this back and forth discussion, and try to get involved and solve some mystery. If that's what you have, feel free to email me. You can send me the cartridge. Well, we'll talk about it. And I usually will process that for free and I'll send you a digital file. But that film becomes mine and I keep it here and I make a decision on whether or not we're going to show it on my channel or not. Does that make clear things up just a skosh? Anyway, what we have here today, and I do process people's film. I have to charge, but if it's your own film, contact me. We'll work something out for that as well. What we have today is found film, let me take a breath, number 62. That's 62 times we've done this. This particular offering hails from, not where it's shot, but it hails from Derby, Connecticut. I picked up this roll and a couple others with it on eBay not too long ago, and I was just curious what might be on it. It was fully exposed. Means that it said exposed right there on the edge, and after processing it, there's an edge code along the perforations of the film. Kodak put a code on there, like a symbol or a series of symbols, and the code on this one, the symbol, was a square. Now a square to you and me indicates, according to Kodak, that this roll of film was actually manufactured in 1977. Now, most of the time people, well, it was manufactured, it hit the store shelves, and most of the time people would buy a roll of film, and then they would shoot the roll of film. You bought film, you keep it on hand sometimes. I shot a lot of this in the 80s and 90s, and you would pick some up, and you always wanted a little stock of it on hand. But for the most part, this was the only way to document life with moving images back then, really, until video came into play. So when you bought a roll, they usually shot it. So I'm going to date this particular film somewhere in the late 70s. It was when it was probably shot. It is Ektachrome 160 Type G film. This is the earlier Ektachrome 160. They later changed the formulation a little bit. They changed the emulsion. They changed the developing process. It was the same film. Well, the same style or look of film, but it was a different process. So this is the older, and with this old Ektachrome 160, you're going to get a lot of emulsion reticulation. If you don't know what that means, it's like the emulsion's just starting to crack apart, like a dry desert look. It starts getting flaky. That's going to show up in your scan. It's already going to be relatively grainy, and then we add all of this reticulation of the emulsion, well, that's going to show up too. So when you adjust the black and the white levels, because we have to process this as black and white, it sort of brings out more of that grain. It darkens the grain, darkens the reticulation or the cracking of the emulsion, but we still have a pretty good image. Now, this film does have rimjet. That's the nasty black layer over the base that helps with the halation issue that you sometimes get with it flickering with the film going so fast through the shutter or the gate of the camera. It has to do with light hitting and bouncing around inside your camera and reflecting against the film. Well, that black halation layer or rimjet layer helps to reduce that, but you have to remove that. If you don't, then your film's just going to be black even after it's developed. So I do a little pre-bath with this. I process this myself, and during that pre-bath, you give it a couple of good shakes, and sometimes you get some of that rimjet off, sometimes it doesn't come off. This particular roll, I didn't get a lot off in the beginning, so I had to take it off at the end. I processed this in HC110B. That's a Kodak developer. It's a concentrate. The B formula is 31 parts water, 1 part developer. I do it for 7 minutes at about between 67 and 68 degrees Fahrenheit. I rinse it, and then I fix it for between 6 and 7 minutes, depending on how old my fixer is. And then I wash it well. I get the rest of the rimjet off. I give it one final, just relaxing bath in photo flow and distilled water. Squeegee it good, hang it to dry. When it's dry, I spool it up, pop it onto my 2K movie scanner over there, and present it to you fine folks right there. So what do we have on this film? Well, that's going to be for you to help me figure out. I mean, I know what's on the film because I processed the film. But you're going to help me maybe try to figure out what we got here. Now, some people have asked me, why not process this in color? Well, you can technically process this old Ektachrome 160 in color. Some people use, and I've done it many times, there's videos on my channel where I do it. The older film stock, like I was saying, there's 2 different Ektachrome 160s. This is the older one. This needed a pre-hardener on the emulsion. Now, E6 chemicals is what we use now for this Ektachrome film, modern Ektachrome film. It's a hot temperature chemical, and it melts the emulsion right off if you don't pre-harden it. And I don't pre-harden the emulsion. The newer Ektachrome 160 from about 1983 and beyond, you can use E6 and get relatively decent, not maybe muted color. Sometimes be shifted a little bit. The colors might be off because that's not the chemical process that was originally intended for this film. This was an EM24 film. The newer stuff is EM26. Those processes are gone. Some people can make those formulas. I don't mess with it. Anyway, that's why I do it as a black and white negative, and then I scan it and reverse it. Anyway, enough of this. Here's the film. So obviously we have a fine young gentleman wandering around a city. When I was scanning the film and sort of adjusting the black and white levels, I kind of donned him Charlie the Mustache, or just Mustache Charlie. I don't know if you guys know the Impractical Jokers, but there's a skit where one of them, they're in a grocery store and he calls the guy next to him. His task was to keep calling the guy Mustache. So I just kept referring to this guy as Mustache. Hey, Mustache. Anyway, I strayed a little bit. I don't know where that's at. It doesn't appear to be in my native soil here in the U.S. It looks like it's probably overseas from me. I don't know where you are at, but probably over in Europe somewhere, just based on the vehicles and some of the architecture. Clearly, he is wandering the streets a little bit, having some fun. He's with a buddy. He goes to a pub of some sorts and has a libation. So I don't know where it was filmed. Maybe you do. I have some viewers that are over there across the pond in Europe from me. So maybe you can sort that out for me. Maybe you recognize some of those vehicles and you can date it a little better for me. My guess is 78, 79, but my guess is usually half as good as yours. So do me a favor and leave a comment and let me know what you think of the film. And you notice the reticulation, the little cracking kind of, emulsion coming apart there. It's not perfect. It's the best I could do with what I had to work with. But I enjoy it. I really do. Otherwise, this is lost forever. It ends up in a dumpster somewhere. Or somebody would maybe try and practice processing, and they would be the only ones that got to see it. And that's not fair. If you enjoyed this video, you see Clark Griswold right over there? He's right there. Do me a favor and just tap him. And that will, well, you got to do it down there, but that's the like button. It means a lot to me. It means a lot to me that you're just watching this, but it helps the algorithm here, YouTube, get, recommend the video and whatnot. You guys know what it does. If you feel like I've earned it, maybe you would, subscribe, because I got a lot of cool content coming up. Cool content. More found film. I have over 100 more rolls of miscellaneous found film that we're getting into. I also do found still film now. So we do a less than 1 minute film every now and then, and that's just still film. Stay tuned. Hit the little bell. I don't know where it's at. It's down there somewhere. Then it'll let you know when I release a brand new video. And until the very next time that I see all of your gorgeous, stunning faces, if you follow me, you know it's coming. I can't help it. It's an addiction. An addiction to the twirl around. I'll see all of you on the very next go around.